I am going to, because I don't feel like going back and forth. So I'm turning the damn live chat off, okay? I hope you can hear me. I'm about to rank out, okay? So I'm going to say this right here. Always invest in using a foot healing lotion. Babe, I haven't used those in a long time, right? But I had bought like 2 different whatever, like brands. And let me tell you something. Goldie, okay? And when I'm doing those sorts of things, honey, I have to have me a glass emery or a glass pumice, like a glass pumice pad. Yes, it works. And what I love about it is that it's not going to eat down past, like it's not going to eat past any healthy skin. And then I don't know why I didn't put gloves on, but I didn't put gloves on and my hands are so freaking soft. Anyway, that's not what this is about, okay? I'm going to say this real quick, sugar bush, okay? Stop trying to relate to everybody, okay? Because what I'm noticing is that the big thing that a lot of people are struggling with when it comes to finding their tribe or their people is being accepted. And listen, to sit here and say, I don't want to be accepted, I don't care what other people think. Up until a certain point, we do care what other people think. Up until a certain point, we do want to be accepted, right? But if you're coming in trying to make something happen and make something shake or make something relate to you that doesn't relate to you in a way, then the magic that you're interested in is halted. For instance, there's nothing wrong with you not having a clue about the way someone else lives. This is important. If everyone around you is that live the same life you live, they come from the same experiences. Tell me how you're going to navigate the world around you. And for some of you, you're interested in doing things that are global, but if you only are around a certain type of person, it limits yourself to experiences because you're unfamiliar with other ways that people are. Let's say you're a person and you're from a very urban area, but you don't make friends with someone who, let's say, went to private school. Y'all are, for some reason, are intersecting with each other at some juncture of life, but you start judging them because their family may have been wealthy. Like you're missing an opportunity to make a genuine relationship with a person past the life experience. And if you spend time trying to relate to someone that you don't have experiences like, it becomes it gets in the way of the bonding of a relationship, because you start to, what I see people do, what I've noticed, okay, now these are my opinions, okay, that doesn't mean that they are fact. But what I've noticed is that when you don't allow yourself to relate, when you try to relate to everyone, okay, and try to make yourself seem as though you are like other people, you limit the expansive opportunity of learning. And you find yourself in a, oh yeah, well, for instance, you know, every summer my parents took us to Martha's Vineyard, right here to Richmond. And we went horseback riding. Oh yeah, well, you know something, every summer my family did this. And we did some equal measure, right? And let's say the other person is lying. First of all, people love to talk about themselves. People love to talk about themselves, and I don't see anything wrong with it. For a large part of my previous career, prior careers, that was my bread and butter, to allow people to investigate a person in a sense of what are you about and what matters to you. How can I make your life easier? Do I have something here? that I can show you that helps you consolidate some things so I can give you more hours in your day back to you. Okay? And that covers a lot of different verticals. Okay? As it relates to the type of person that I'm able to sell to. So I can say the same thing to a farmer. I can say the same thing to a street pharmacist. I can say the same thing to a doctor or pharmacist. I can say the same thing to different people, and it means so many different things, but I'm able to relate it because these people are not related. Like they're not interchanging. And that gives me this broader scope of knowledge. For instance, I noticed there are some people who they listen to the way I say a word and they make, start to use it. I love that shit. Like start using it, add that to your lexicon. Absolutely. Right? But if you take something that I'm saying and then you turn around and say, well, I know this. Babe, why did you enter the conversation like that? What is it, what's going on with you to where when you are around people, like I think a lot, I'm going to say this before I get into a Gemini ring. A lot of people who grow up, unfortunately, in places that are not financially stable, or they might be stable, but it's more the hood, okay? A lot of times we're taught, and I say we because that's including me, we're taught that access, or people who are of a certain access, right, that, they not real. They're not keeping it real. But let me help you with a perspective. People say, oh, they're not keeping it real. They not hood, they're not keeping it real. That same person, right, grew up wealthy, but their great-grandfather, let's say, was from some poor country in Europe somewhere, right? Far poorer, and the country had less resources for people that experienced poverty than the United States. And through some changes, and through taking the time to learn how they could maximize on something that they did, they were able to they were able to come out more wealthy because they were able to capitalize on a skill set that they had and to make it lucrative. They could look at you, if your parents were welfare recipients at one point, or maybe still are. They could say that y'all are not real. That y'all live a fantasy, that people owe you something. They could easily say that you're not keeping it real. Because to keep it real would be, don't spend your money, work this sort of way, work smart, not hard. These are the people you need to network with. That right there shows that you have real drive in your life. They could say people who think that everyone owes them is not keeping it real. So that keeping it real notion is relative to where you find yourself. And it doesn't have any basis for any fucking thing. If anything, the people who say it the most are people who are afraid of success. Fear of success, which I had to learn. Fear of success presents itself as a constant worry of failure. And it's not that the person is actually worried when you look at it psychologically. They know that they're going to lose at something. They're worried about, what if I do all of this stuff and it never amounts up to anything? And to that type of person, and to myself, I even say, well, wait a minute. If you do a thing and it doesn't work out, whatever it is that you learned in the process of doing that thing is far more knowledge than you had prior to you approaching that thing. So failing forward actually afforded you education that you otherwise wouldn't have had. And it's a good chance that if you are able to maintain this opportunity, whether it is networking and you learn more about a business model that didn't work, you're able to critique it. It's a good chance that you're going to start to see momentum as you reapproach it. You don't stay the same person prior to attempting a thing as you were. You don't stay the same person post attempting a thing as you were prior to it. You come out, win or lose, smarter than you were before. And when it comes to success, success is something that's applicable across different types of things. You may go into a business, let's say if you were doing nails, I'm just saying if you're doing nails, and you went into nails and it didn't work. You a manicurist, let's say you're a licensed manicurist, and you didn't like it, it just wasn't for you. But you noticed as you were a manicurist for, let's say, 2 or 3 years, that women or men who wore these particular types of acrylic and this particular type of brand of acrylic developed a certain kind of nail fungus. And since you were so interested in and made it a point to clean that up, and you learned how to fix their nails, heal their nails to remove that fungus, maybe you have a concept for a brand of we'll say a brand, not a fungus removal, but a brand of something that you can offer to manicurists or people who are cosmetologists and they do everything. You have a idea that serves the people or the industry that you worked in, an idea that otherwise you would have not been privy to as a need. You're able to assess what a need is, and with your tarot skill, you're able to provide a solution. But you otherwise wouldn't have known what that was like unless you put yourself in the field. Okay, so what I'm saying about this is, in trying to relate to people, trying to reduce or expand a person to your own scope of knowing actually limits your knowledge base. It limits your time with people. And what I also noticed by y'all have heard me talk about people who stalk me. Okay, I'm not the only one. There's nothing about me that's different than other people. I just am the flavor of the fucking week for whatever reason. Okay, it could have been anyone else with similar characteristics as mine at any given time that had been noticed by the same person, and that would have happened to them. It's not. I don't believe, at least, that it's based on me. I believe that anyone who was similar to me would have gotten that same treatment, or would get the same treatment by the people who sit in the shadows right now of this live stream. Okay? That's what I truly do. I truly believe that. Okay? Now, I might change that stance, but I don't believe that there's something inherently, at least not in this situation, inherently special about me as to why I got treated this way versus someone else. But then you got to understand, I'm looking at it from a perspective of, if you find something I do special, it's a good chance that if I actually had a conversation with you and you actually wanted to do the work, you could have the same for yourself. Right? So maybe that's what it is. I don't know. But anyway, the whole point of the matter is that what I would see people do is that they would project that if someone was a certain kind of way, oh, they scamming. Oh man, they doing this, they doing that. And little did they know, because they're limited. First of all, you've never probably left your city long enough to meet people from a different place. You've probably not left your economic bracket long enough to even study people from a different socioeconomic group to make an assessment about someone who lives differently. They're from a different place. You're from the East Coast, the Northeast. I'm from the South. There are going to be traditions that are similar for me as someone else from the place that I'm from. That's not going to be the same for you. When I say something about marriage in the South, honestly, we grew up in the South where people, before they even graduated, they were married, versus other cities that were more densely populated, they were having a sex in the city moment. And mind you, Memphis is a big little town, but even in the Bible Belt, the experience of relationships were a lot different. Okay? So I personally don't feel like I missed out on relationships. It just wasn't for me, or I moved and things were different in the environments that I came to, whatever that may be. Okay? But I've been afforded the opportunity to live in different places and to work with different types of people from different backgrounds, they have been educated differently. And so it gives me a range to pull from when I am typecasting a person. But if you've never really been anywhere and the only time you traveled was to go strip at another club in another city, or you were on the same shit that you grew up on, so you found the same kind of people in another city, you really haven't learned anything. You've only been around a certain type of person. So your reference of personalities, the kind of person what someone is limited to what you've been around. So what I found is that when I found people talking shit about me, I learned about them through what they assumed about me. Because think about this. How do you know someone so well that you don't know? The only thing you can really pull from is your own experience. And what it tells us is that if you don't know the person, you're making assumptions on their character, then these are the kind of people that you're surrounded by. If you're saying that they're a liar, you're surrounded by liars. You yourself might be a liar. If you've been around, again, impoverished people, you're saying that they scamming. I want you to know there's a secret to wealth. And one secret to wealth is actually donating, writing checks, being a philanthropist. Like there is an actual, it's not really a secret to wealth, but there's something that wealthy people do. And I know we understand the concept of karma, but let's say this. I learned this a long time ago. The king has 3 enemies. But they have thousands of people in the kingdom that they provide for, right? Now, what they did to them 3 enemies was low down and it was cold-blooded. But the lives that they've affected, the thousands of lives they've affected, outweigh the sins of those 3 people. Because of the good that it provided to those people and to those people's families. Especially if he has a thriving kingdom. I'm by no way trying to, give people an excuse to be evil. Because what I truly believe is that humans are creatures of habit, right? And if you have someone who's truly terrible, they're not giving to anyone. Like if you think about it, think about a Diddy, for instance. Diddy isn't making huge notable strides in what he's done for communities. If anything, he's probably bullshitted. And you see evidence of it. Like my grandmother always said, charity starts at home. What you do at home, you will do abroad. Absolutely. Full stop. Okay? So, what you do, if you are a person that's scamming, lying, trying to get over on someone, finesse someone, you have been doing that from wherever the fuck you're from, and you're going to do it until you find out how embarrassing it is. For instance, think of Buddy Love from Trading Places. It was embarrassing for him to start stealing out of a home that he was made to believe was his, right? He was made to believe that this wealth was his. He was brought around, he was brought up to speed on what it is that they do, and he started to believe in himself in that position, see himself in that position of a person of wealth, a person of means, a person of importance, right? And even down to the way that he spoke about people who were homeless on the street and who were drinking changed because of the environment he was in. And when he noticed that the things that were applicable from where he was from, they did not have a place in this new environment, he changed to accommodate the environment. He made assumptions about wealth from his position of poverty that once he was no longer Buddy Love, right, he understood exactly what it was like to look from a place of wealth at those who sit around and take advantage of the system. He made a judgment call. He said, why don't you take the money that you earned? I think it's one of the brothers. Said, why don't you take the money that you earned and give it away? No, Buddy Love goes, I forget, anyway. What's his name? Billy or William? I don't know what Ed Murphy's character was named. I forgot that. I'm terrible with names, by the way. He said, you know what? You don't do that. You don't just give these kind of people anything. I know, because I used to be these people. It would encourage them to stay the same way that they do, that they are. They have to learn how to work for a thing and earn it. So he completely assimilated to an environment that was far different than the one that he grew up in. And not only that, it was the fact that he had obviously applicable knowledge from the original poverty that he was in, to contrast this new environment, that he can make a judgment call. Because with this new information that he has as a wealthy man, or a man who's in proximity to wealth, he sees his original status or state of being as foolishness. And he understands precisely why you don't hand someone $1 million, and why that would actually harm them, as opposed to making opportunities available for them to show themselves approved. He wouldn't even want it the way he got it. He feels blessed that he was able to move a certain way, because he was indebted to these brothers, right? Before he knew what they was on. He felt like, damn, I can't believe you guys did this for me, but this is not what we normally experience. In order for me to have gotten here, I would have had to make different moves that I was too, quote unquote, lazy, or didn't believe that I could have for myself. I had to move differently. If you ever see the movie The Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith, it's one of my favorite movies. It's like one of my top movies. The other one is Terminal with Tom Hanks. I love Terminal. Okay? The Pursuit of Happiness, I fell in love with Will Smith because I knew, like, it changed me. But considering what he went through, despite the fact that he was homeless, despite the fact that he didn't have money to feed, Jaden Smith was obviously acting in his role. His passion and the fact that he had some sort of forethought or some sort of knowledge of a different way of doing things did not allow him to give up, despite his circumstances, where other people would have told him that he was wasting his time. And come to find out, it's based on a true story, that this person who they're speaking about is quite brilliant, has been quite brilliant when it comes to the stock market's financial trades, okay? They really are they're the pedestal through which we risk arm and limb. I would rather have one, if it means me getting to another level, I'll let go of this leg. Some people say it's going to cost you an arm and leg. Yeah, it cost me an arm and leg, but in this new position, I have people waiting on me. I have the ability to purchase prosthetics. So yeah, why it did cost me a mobility, my quality of life, even lacking the damn arm and leg, is far more rewarding. Take that however you need to take it, right? But the point of the matter is that he chose to do something that was not customary to what his life experiences were. And it paid off because think about it, if you were homeless and you had to wash your clothes in a bathroom, in a public stall, take a bird bath, and the ways in which you problem solve gives you a leg up in a prestigious place where you're given an opportunity to be a day trader or whatever the fuck it was, right? You're going to be able to solve and speak to more clients, more customers, because of your specific, unique experience that most of those other guys who come from wealthy families, or at least middle class families, do not have. You have a perspective that no one else has. So what you're actually selling as a day trader is not an investment into what it is that your firm sells. You're able to make it make sense to multiple walks of life because you have these other things that you've done that failed that allow for you to customize your knowledge base. You become a subject matter expert. You become valuable, or in this case, invaluable. Like you are so valuable, we can't even quantify how valuable you are. Simply because you had a starting point that was far much more difficult, if you think about it, right, than someone else. And some people say, oh, I don't know how you and your family went through poverty. If all you know was poverty, you were built for it. It's an adjustment to get used to wealth, because your first year of wealth, you're probably going to blow a bunch of money that you otherwise wouldn't have if you had the drop on what to invest in and how to move money around. Okay? Saying I'm speaking from experience, so what I'm saying is I'm not lecturing, I'm speaking from experience. But you will miss these opportunities when you're trying to relate to everyone, you're trying to be like everyone, and you're trying to make everyone your fucking friend or someone who you can read. What's up with that? It's okay for you not to be able to read a person so long as the basic tenets of them being a decent human being are the same as yours. If you have personality conflicts, that's why it's hard for you to trust. When I have a person that's in front of me that says I have trust issues and they're still dating, for instance, right? Or they're still trying to date, but they have trust issues. I'm looking at them like they are someone I shouldn't trust. Because why the fuck are you dating if you have trust issues and you haven't invested in yourself to get down to the bottom of healing yourself from those trust issues? Because there's a good chance that bullshit is what's standing in your way of actually growing and bringing a partner in. When someone tells me they have trust issues, what they're telling me is that they are not able to comprehend what those past relationships that they were in. They're not able to comprehend how those women or those men are different than new people that they meet. For instance, I've always been cheated on by men. Well, what's similar about them? They are man. No. How did the relationship start? What were some of the similarities? Did they have children? How did they talk to you? What were some of the things in the beginning of the relationship that are red flags? And every time I've asked somebody that question who told me they had trust issues, they looked at me like they were a deer in headlights. So that meant that this person is running around looking for love, talking about they got a lot of love to give, but yet and still they got so much love to give, but they cannot tell you what is a differing factor between the people that they've been in relationships with. They cannot tell you, okay, they'll say, well, this person, you know, they lived here, this person lived there, some remedial shit. I'm talking about what type of what were the Lord have mercy, what were their values? What were the differences in the value system from man to man, woman to woman? What were the differences in their values? Well, I don't know. I mean, they like makeup. They watch sports. Okay, so you really didn't know who the fuck you were dealing with. You were just, they looked fuckable, and you said, okay, let me try to give you love, and I'm going to love bomb you, because there is that. There's desperation in love bombing, that you want a relationship so bad because you can't stand being alone with yourself. And what's crazy about that is that if you can't stand being alone with yourself, why the fuck do you think I'm going to want to be alone with you? If you don't like you, then bitch, I'm not going to like you. The fuck? The reason why I'm entertaining is I entertain the fuck out of myself. Before I post a joke, I'm already laughing at the motherfucker, whether you liked it or not. I find myself charming. I say things to people that I want to hear said to me, or that I've heard said, or that has been said to me, and I enjoyed it. I liked it. It was something that was different. It was something that stood out. But that's because I tend to be a very attentive person. I pay attention to details, really fine details about what makes a person different. What are the fine details about you that makes you different than this person? What are the contrasting values? Because if you're the same, then that means I'm dumb. If these kind of people who were into this kind of stuff or was the same kind of way, I'm dating the same kind of dude, that means that I can't comprehend. I don't have good comprehension skills. I don't have my best interest at heart because I don't even know what the fuck I want. As a matter of fact, I'm still blaming my ex for my people-pleasing behavior. that they took advantage of. Of course they're going to take advantage of it. They come from people who take advantage of the fucking system. This is their background. They don't know anything other than to take advantage of a damn fool. I'm the fool that didn't know that I can't blame somebody who's been who they were. I'm the one who was being fake. I'm the one that said I cooked and cleaned. I'm the one that said I like to do this, trying to relate to a bitch that I couldn't relate to. I'm the one who settled in that friendship. So when they did me dirty, they did the person who was fake dirty. Because once they figured out, okay, you not really like this, they didn't have the respect for me that they should have. Because you did all of that just to get me in your life. This ain't even the real you. This is the real you. I don't know that hoe. You a weird ass nigga, okay? All right, I'm gonna get what I can get and I'm gonna bounce. I don't like that. You ain't cute. The person is going to keep that in, especially if they're a street person, and especially if they still living in the struggle. They don't know yet that burning bridges like that actually costs something because they don't have shit to lose. And you thinking that you're Captain Save-A-Hoe, and you wonder why they busting your head wide open for your opportunities and for what you can do for them. Because you need to feel fulfilled being a god or playing God with someone else instead of finding someone who complements you. And that complementary could come from someone from a different walk of life, but the value system that you have, that if you spend enough time alone, you will develop, is similar to this person's values. And what you can ascertain from that is that if you have these values because you work hard, you are philanthropic, you are altruistic, right? Then this person, because they share in these values based on not what they're performing for me, but things that I'm able to notice about them, then if they have these values, then we must have arrived to this place from a similar reference point. Maybe this person grew up in wealth. I didn't grow up in wealth, but we both have these values, so we believe in taking care of our communities. So the same way we take care of our communities, we're going to take care of each other. Because again, charity starts at home. What you do at home, you do abroad. So if you're telling me how you don't do shit for your family, if you're telling me how you're not cooking and cleaning, if you're telling me how you're not paying any bills for your family, like helping them out, then it's a good chance that in your relationships, you're going to be just as self-serving, right? You're going to be just as self-serving in that relationship. And all the while talking about I don't know why I'm single. Because you're a selfish bitch. And you don't have enough value because you don't even know who you are. First and foremost, you're performing who you think people want. And you're trying to compete for something and you're outclassed and then getting mad that you're outclassed because you're so arrogant, thinking that you just showing up is going to be easy peasy. So when this person outclasses you because you don't have enough comprehension to tell the fine difference between what you know and they know, and now you're mad at them and you got a new enemy because that person is smart. You're mad at them because they're smart. When you didn't take the time to love yourself enough to get on their level or notice that they were on a different level, and invest in yourself in such a way to where you could learn the gems that they have for yourself, for your own enrichment. And say you just want everyone else to pay for your failures because you didn't think that you were worth succeeding at anything, right? Like, I had someone listen to me today, and I'm gonna tell you my commentary. I guess they not listen to me. They read when I said, yeah, if I'm competing with somebody, don't give me an unfair advantage. And they said, yeah, I know if a person has an unfair advantage, that's going to trigger them. I mean, not if they're competing, that's going to trigger them. So what that told me is that the person who said this, by listening to me and referencing that information from a person that they do not know to a situation that's supposed to be related to them, that whoever they were speaking about, they were saying without knowing that they were saying that they operate in relationships from an unfair advantage. I promise you this person would have never known that I picked that up about them. But they like to have an upper hand in relationships or in the pursuit of relationships over someone else. So they're already coming out the gate already coming out the gate, not a partner, not an equal partner, not even somebody you can trust. They're a sleazeball. Because they know all this about this person. They know this person's weaknesses. And because they perceive this person to have X amount of weaknesses, this is the perfect person for them to partner for. Then they'll say, well, I got a lot of love I can give them. No, you got a lot of weaknesses that you see that this person has a lot of weaknesses that you can exploit. And then tell them what you're doing for them is love. You're a lousy human being. You don't have the experience. Okay? That person, whether they know it or not, they told me that whoever the fuck they was crushing on, they was crushing on them because they perceived them to be weak enough for them to handle. So they even scheming in love. They are scam artists even in love relationships. You see what I'm saying? They're not asking for someone to have ethics. They're not asking for someone to have these other things. They're asking for you to be so inundated with weaknesses, trials and tribulations, so we can both relate to being sleazeballs. But I have just a lot more information than you do. I can hold it over your head, and I can then use this information to say I'm loving you. Nah, babe. You just said without saying. This is what I mean. People say what someone's not saying speaks volumes. You were trying to relate to me. You cannot relate to me. We didn't grow up the same. We do not have the same values, clearly. First and foremost, if you really want to understand me, I don't enter competitions with anyone unless I know that I have a competitive opportunity. I don't enter competitions. At my ego, I have South Node on my sun. I'm having to develop an ego in this lifetime. In a past life, I was all about my partnerships. Anyone with a South Node in Libra, South Node in the 7th house, your relationships were everything. Your identity surrounded where you are and who you were in relation to your partner. So North Node in Aries or North Node in the 1st house means that in this lifetime, you're developing a focus on yourself. And it's not until you understand what works for you and you are fulfilled that you're going to be able to be feeling to anyone else. If no one else is giving you what you need, the relationship will suffer. You cannot perform love for someone else because it will take from you. You are supposed to, everything that's supposed to come to you has to come to you through first you pouring into yourself first, making sure that you're doing so, because then and only then will you be able to navigate and know who your people are, because those values that you developed in pursuit of who you are as a person, you will see mirrored to you in the people that are meant to be around you. Does that make sense? So that's what I understand about South Node conjunct Sun. And this is my sun. Sun is awareness. The same thing can be true if you have South Node in Leo. Really, because Leo's ruled by the sun, you probably go through a similar thing where you're dealing with now having to develop an ego, but not through being egoic, but instead being someone who actually can lead groups. Because if you have a South Node in Leo, you have a North Node in Aquarius, and it's about being someone who pours knowledge onto humanity, that expands humanity's conscious awareness. Aquarius rules our conscious awareness, our collective consciousness, what we're conscious about, what we understand, the new ways in which we understand things. Aquarius rules that. So when Aquarius is able to capture groups of people, they're in their bag because that's what they're supposed to do. They are the person who leads from behind. They're so great at what they do that they force anyone that's in front of them to move faster and greater. They do not allow things that are outdated to stagnate the group. It's about innovation, right? That's Aquarius. So from that perspective, it's not that Aquarius has a God complex. Aquarius has to think like a God because Aquarius's influence affects so many people, depending on if they affect thousands, if not millions of people. And they're responsible for what that effect does. So when things are like that, you kind of have to be cognizant of how your energy influences people, because that's exactly what you're meant to do. Right? It's different than Leo. Leo is about their own star power, how they shine. Because when they're shining, they're able to shine light on other people, able to employ other people to help them be a star. They're able to give other people jobs on sets, screenwriters, directors, whoever. They're able to really show up and do what they need to do to enrich us all, because they are enriched. Does that make sense? It's more about themselves shining, because just them shining enriches their environment. Versus with Aquarius, the best way that I can say this for you to understand, if this makes any sense with my Gemini reasoning, if Leo is the sun, the star of our solar system, right? If Leo is the sun, right? The star of our solar system. Aquarius is the network of stars throughout multiple different solar systems. Does that make sense? Right? They are the study. If Leo is the sun that powers our solar system, Aquarius is the network of multiple stars that are thousands of millions of hundreds of millions, hundreds of thousands times bigger than our star, or smaller than our star. They are the network or the nexus or the matrix of many different galaxies, nebulas, all of that sort of thing. That's why Aquarius can seem like an alien, because they're bringing something that is fantastical. The best way that I can say this is this. I'm not trying to relate. It's because I had to learn, because I wanted to learn. First, my Mars is in Aquarius. So why do I take these particular stance? Why, if I'm passionate about something, why do I go for that passion a certain way? So having Mars, which is masculine energy in Aquarius, it would obviously attract to me Aquarian friends. Specifically, okay, I am a 7th house sun. Even though I'm not a Libra, my sun is in the 7th house. So I don't have to go into how I learn certain things, but in that, okay, obviously I'm learning how to partner with people. I have South Node here, so it's a good chance that people South Node in Libra, people South Node in 7th house know how to be an amazing partner. But they need to be an amazing partner for themselves. Their relationship with themselves needs to be paramount in this lifetime. But anyway, going back to the whole thing. When you are bringing, they call Aquarius the water bearer, right? Bringing that information from other galaxies, right? Other nebulas, other things. And they're just stitching, transmitting that information that is foreign to our particular solar system, because that particular star doesn't even burn the same chemicals that ours does. There are different types of metals there. I mean, if they do have a planet of water, it may be made, that water could have been, it doesn't necessarily mean the water's configuration is H2O. There may be some foreign configuration that also produces heavy water or thick water or fat water that they're experiencing. Or it could be a much lighter, not as, our water could be denser than that water. Whatever, right? The whole point of the matter is that in something like that, Aquarius is relating to multiple people, not because they're the same, right? But because of the fact that they're able to vibe with what makes each person different. They're able to weave together a tapestry and make whatever it is that they're showing the collective make sense to many different people of many different personalities. This is one of the reasons why Aquarius gets along with Sagittarius. Sagittarius is known as the wisdom, the higher mind. Okay, you can even see the house of God. Our ecclesiastical study, theology or theosophy, the study of God, right? That I named my cat Theo, but Theo is of God, the study of God, right? Those two coming into connection with one another can go hand in hand. The study of God, the mind of God, the higher mind, helps us ascertain the vastness of our universe and how we're all interconnected, right? So for the next 2,000 years, maybe, or roughly 2 or 3 or maybe 4,000 years, while we're in the age of Aquarius, hopefully, we got 4,000 years, we develop a way to contact other nebulas. And we know how we are mirrored across the many different galaxies. So to give you an understanding of why Aquarius energy and the time of Aquarius, or the era of Aquarius, is so important, is that it doesn't limit us to just our star. Our star has now a blueprint about how to become a bigger star, or what will happen to it once it turns into a black hole or a supernova. It goes supernova, a star when it's dying. Rigel, I think Betelgeuse, which is in Orion, is going to supernova, I think, before Rigel. And essentially that means it turns into a black hole, right? You can look into black holes. I've posted a lot of stuff on my other channel about it. And essentially there's theories that black holes actually allow us to travel what would be millions, if we wouldn't die going into one through spaghettification. It could actually short circuit us into another part of another dimension, instead of us having to travel so much faster than the speed of light to get from one place to another. That's a whole bunch of sci-fi jargon. Don't even worry about that shit, okay? Let Aquarius teach you that on your own time where it is relevant, okay? But the point of the matter is that having the ability to relate to people because they come from where you come from is not exactly important. Having the ability to understand people because you are able to grasp the differences, and through the differences able to ascertain value, use, or even provide something that's valuable to them, is where the sweet spot is. And when you're projecting onto other people, it's a sign of ignorance. It's a sign of low IQ. Because you're not looking at the person as if they are an individual outside of yourself, which technically we're not separate. When you look at the grand scheme of things, we are connected. However, God did not incarnate here in different vessels to have the same rationale. Okay? That's not why you incarnated as, ye are like gods, to have the same rationale. The goal was to mature one's godhood through navigating different circumstances, different environments, different everything, which adds dimension to the overall. Some people say that there's oversouls, many different types of oversouls. Even planets are oversouls. So you might be talking to someone who's a fractal of your soul group. And in some place in nirvana, you guys come back together as a soulmate or soul pair, as one large unit, with so many different perspectives of many different lives. And so the love you have with each other, or the love you have for yourself first, and then each other, is something that's felt as one whole being, that's able to pour from itself many different beings to expand itself and multiply itself. That's, again, another far out concept. Don't try to follow that shit. If you do it on your own time, okay? But the whole point of it is that if I sound different, the fact that you are invested enough to listen to that difference and not try to reduce me to what your understanding is, but even as far as to go look at the terms that I'm using to expand yourself, maybe even to understand me. My vanity would like me to believe that. But more importantly, understanding me enhances you. And if you have that kind of intellect, then you're the kind of people that I want to be around. Because that is a person who's ready to provide a solution to a problem, because they're open They're flexible. They're like a sponge. They keep that childlike innocence. You can't enter the gates of heaven unless you have a childlike spirit. It doesn't mean that you're childish. It means that that wonderment, approaching life with wonder, is what keeps that childlike spirit within you. Because if you knew everything in the world, you would want to die right now because it would be boring. But the fact that you can look at something and you can say, my God, the ocean is so vast, I'm in awe of it, or space is so vast, I'm in awe of it. That is the sweetness of life, that you are able to explore something further than what the reaches of what you currently know. That is the gift. Okay? Like, don't ever give up that gift because you're around a bunch of losers who are too afraid of their fucking shadow to do anything. So they then rob you of your glory, make you feel stupid for dreaming. And you were supposed to be the person that was going to take us to the next level in some field, whether it's music, acting, television, streaming, internet, right? Social media, NASA, as a NASA technician, as someone who was, an oceanographer or oceanologist or whatever. I don't even know if that's a word, child. You were a marine biologist. If you had instead of listening to these losers, if you ever watched The Wiz, listen to the scarecrows, even though scarecrows would never do it. I know when they did The Wiz, they had to kind of put it together, but actually crows would never tell someone to be stupid and that they can't win. Crows are all about constantly improving their knowledge base. They watch every being to make their life easier. They are solution focused, okay? You know it's illegal to have a crow, right? But you could train a crow to bring you some money. You know what I'm saying? They could swoop in somebody at the ATM, bing, bang, bang. So they be bringing you money, okay? I got whole theories as to why it's illegal to have crows and it's illegal to have ravens. They're smart as shit, okay? Anytime you see an animal play on its own, like they actually are trying to surfboard because they're watching people surf, and so they're going to try to do it by grabbing a branch of wood and making themselves float so they can be like the humans who are surfing. That's intelligence. People who play to learn, actually, that is a sign of intelligence, right? It's play. Being playful means that you're willing to learn and play with different things, okay? But the whole point of the matter is that if you assume that you know what people are coming from, you know this person to the point where you don't give that person respect, what you're telling me about you is that you don't deserve respect. And whatever you're accusing that person of, that you know so well, is because you know that is who you are. So you can't believe in your little closed mind, in your little miniature world, these kind of people, I'm not talking to my people, but these kind of people, they can't believe in their little pea brain world that there are people who are much vaster than them. But let them tell it. They'll tell you that they are a whole star seed, honey. You're a whole star seed, but you don't expand your knowledge base. You're always competing with other people. If the stars move the way you move, there would be no cohesion in any galaxy. There would just be combustion everywhere. Nothing would ever make it to a livable or a something. Nothing would work as a team if the stars operated the way you do. Generally, I don't even like talking bad about these people because generally they do have self-esteem issues. They do have issues with feeling internal inadequacy, right? But because they refuse to learn more than what they know, they're not even able to show themselves that the inadequacy that they feel was a lie the whole time. A person's not supposed to show you their trade secrets. You're mad at somebody because they have more knowledge in a particular area than you. They did the work. They don't owe you that. Who the hell do you think you are? They don't owe you that. You're not a friend of them. You've never, even if you bought a reading, in my case, bought a reading with me, you didn't respect me enough to introduce yourself. What are you trying to say? I got cooties? You sitting here watching me in the fucking, like in the shadows, and I don't deserve the respect of an introduction? That means that you don't respect your money. And then you come up here and talk shit about me and you have learned so much from me? That's crazy. You're a disrespectful person. So you don't understand anything but somebody being disrespectful to you. Those kind of people I don't want to be around. I don't want to be around people in which you're arguing with them all the time and you come across disrespectful. Maybe I know how to be disrespectful because I had to be around this particular crowd. And when I understood what was common between me and those particular people, I worked on me to make sure that I wasn't an energetic match to this kind of stuff here. Because I may have attracted it due to some shadow tendency, some subconscious Piscean thing. Pisces rules the collective unconscious, some unconscious, subconscious narrative that I have. And by me challenging that narrative, I removed that kind of energy from me. So therefore, those kind of people, those kind of romantic relationships, those kind of tarot readings, they don't come to me anymore because I am not an energetic match for it. You're not going to attract someone that's different than you. If you attract a bunch of messy people, unfortunately, and you decide to have the relationship, you're not repelled by them, but instead you are intrigued by them, it's a good chance that you're just as messy. You're just as diabolical. They're just better at it than you are. You are attracted to and you attract to yourself and you say yes to the things that vibrate at the same frequency. So when people tell me, oh, they tricked me, they used me, they abused me, and everyone in their life has done that, that person is a user and an abuser. And if somebody else did it better, that's the only time they're an enemy. That's the only time they're a terrible person because that other person did it better than they could. That's all it is. You know how many people come to me and talk about being cheated on, but when someone was into them, they cheated on that person? So they didn't want to attract cheaters, but they themselves were a cheater. The nerve of us. We have so much nerve, and yet we don't have that much respect for ourselves because we think everyone's the same. Essentially, we can be, but how we get to the point of human, how we human with other people, completely could be different. And that's the whole purpose of learning. And that's the whole purpose of holding space for something that's different than what you came into the world with. Even the people who I'm reprimanding right now, I'm reprimanding you because you treat me like a teacher because you repeat everything I say. So I assume that you agree to the terms to be reprimanded. Even those individuals, I would hope that they would come and wake up out of their stupor and be a much better person since they get jealous of people who have much better experiences than themselves, right? Right. Stop trying to relate to other people. You are missing the whole point of what brings people together, what makes a team work well. You're missing the fact that a person may be very similar to you, but their differences is what makes them very valuable to you and what makes you very valuable to them. Okay? If you're going to do life, live it fully. Stop being a scared ass bitch. Because if you're a scared ass bitch, you're probably a hating ass bitch. And that ain't cute. No way you slice it, okay? I know because I used to be hating ass bitch about certain things until I figured out, oh, I can have the same thing. I may have to put an extra bit of effort in, but now I feel stupid. I don't feel stupid anymore because I realized what I was doing. But now I'm ashamed of it, not to stay in a feeling of guilt, but to actually use it as fuel to be better than I was yesterday. And if that's true for me, on some level as a basic human thing, then I know for a lot of us in different ways that can be true. Okay? So instead of hating, start learning and investing in yourself. Stop competing. inappropriately unless you are in a competition. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I don't just jump into competitions with people because they're better than me. That would be stupid. If I am well trained in something, the reason I'm going to compete is that if I lose and I know I'm good at what I do, I know I'm cold as ice at what I do, then I'm going to, because of my passion for the thing I'm doing, I'm going to be able to ascertain a much better method of doing said thing. Because I ain't going to lose more than once or twice. You ain't got to show me nothing once or twice and I'll learn the lesson. I'm a quick learn. I'm a quick study because I continue to study. I stay studying. There's not a time that I'm not learning, studying, and allowing myself to be in awe of the world around me. So if there's anything you can take from me, it would be that. Okay? Enrich your life, stop being a hating ass bitch, and stop being scared, and get out of your comfort zone. All right? Love y'all. I truly do from the bottom of my heart. And I hope that you have a great weekend if I don't holler at you later. And yes, I would have clowned if them folks had a deal. I wouldn't have got the fight, and I was excitable when I said it. I would have clowned, though. W Speed, I would have clowned, too. I would have probably been a little bit worse because I would have felt it. I would have been like, come on, man. You know what I'm able to do. Man, listen here. Y'all go check that thing out. Go check out if you got the segments, if you follow any of his other channels. Maybe I'm tripping. But when he caught up to everyone else, had he had someone who was comparable speed as he was capable as his relay partner, which is what happens in real track and field, you know, you're put with people who are in the same heat as you. I don't think dude would have won. You have to see how fast Speed came up from being last place and how he was passing them other niggas. If you clock it from the start point of when he started running to when he started to pass those other runners, that speed right there indicates that he would have won the race. And I love people, right? Whether they're Jamaican or not. But that shit pissed me off so bad that I had to cuss everybody out in my mind. Bitch, what you mean? Y'all should be mad because if you're known as the best track and field stars, then what kind of monkey business do we have here with you cheating? That makes you look like you a bunch of cheaters. Come on now, man. Oh, a goddamn beef patty. You know, fuck them goddamn beef patty and fuck that goddamn jerk chicken. Okay? And that's how the fuck I feel. I don't feel like that now. Okay, I get a little burst. I get a little hangry, I think I needed some chips or something. I needed something to eat then. But anyway, I'm finna go ahead and get up out of here. I supposed to have been in the shower a long time ago. Okay, this towel I got on, been doing the business and been doing the food the whole time. Well, anyway, yeah, that's how the fuck I felt. Okay, fuck that goddamn church chicken. Fuck them goddamn beef patties. Okay, stop disrespecting those runners and let them run with speed the way that they gonna do, because that only enhances them. It doesn't hold them back. What y'all doing when you cheat is what holds people back. That part. Y'all have a good one.